up, everybody, and welcome back to the Offbeat Gardener. Today is a kitchen day. I am at home and I have a bunch of stuff that I need to do. I placed a Costco order yesterday. I need to do something with the stuff that I got. On today's agenda, I would like to make a whole bunch of broccoli cheddar soup. I have some fresh broccoli from Costco here, a big old bag of organic broccoli florets. I do have some sharp cheddar cheese to go with that. I have half and half and all the other ingredients still in the fridge. I did buy a bag of onion, and my plan for that is to chop it up into little bits so that I can freeze it and not have to worry about chopping onions. I have this cauliflower here that's starting to get a little yucky, so I need to do something with that. My plan for that is to pickle it. These containers here are for the soup that I'm gonna make, and my whole plan for that is to freeze it, and I'll explain why in a second. This Juan Valdez glass container that's clean and ready to go is for cayenne pepper. This last gardening season I grew a bunch of cayenne pepper plants and I dehydrated them, and they're still in a bag. I need to grind them up. I haven't done that yet, so my plan is to do that today also and see how much I got in terms of harvest, and I'll show you guys all of that. So let's talk about broccoli cheddar soup. I've been on a broccoli cheddar soup kick lately, and what I typically do is buy the 2-pack from Costco, which is about, I think, $10 for 2 of these. Been buying like multiples so that I can freeze all of them and just keep one in the fridge for like a quick meal. Like I said, they're about $10 for 2 of them, and I figured why not just make my own, you know what I mean? What I want to do is basically replicate this, and I already have containers like this that I bought on Amazon, which I can link down below if you're interested. I want to make some homemade soup because it's homemade soup is always better than store-bought. I opted this time at Costco, instead of buying this, which I typically do, decided to get all the ingredients and just make it myself. As for the onions, if you're unfamiliar with these from Walmart, these chopped onions are a lifesaver. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh no, I need to chop some onions for such and such recipe, or oh, I forgot to put onions, or whatever the case is. Just grab a bag of these, you know, rip it open and put it in whatever meal that I'm making. The problem with these, it's a great value as it says on the package, but the issue I'm running into with these, number one, they're getting harder and harder to find. I went to 3 or 4 different Walmarts in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I finally found them in like some obscure Walmart, some random neighborhood that I never go to, and they had only a couple of them, so they're getting harder and harder to find. So I figured, you know what, I'm not gonna drive around town to 20 different Walmarts to try to find some chopped onions. So what I'm gonna do is chop some myself and freeze it the same way that these are. So that's the plan for today. FYI, if you're wondering how this tastes, it's actually really delicious. But again, like I said, I want to do something that's homemade where I know exactly what's in it. Even though this soup is really delicious, it's still, you know, pre-made food, and I'm really trying to avoid that as much as possible. You know, I do have a full-time job and, you know, stuff going on and whatever, so convenience food, convenient to say the least, but you know, we can always try to be better. So that's the plan for today. Like I said before, I'm planning to chop up the onions, and I most certainly am not going to do that by hand because number one, I don't feel like it, and number two, I don't want to have to be around onions and weeping like a baby for the next 30 minutes if I don't have to. To speed things up a little bit, I bought this multi-purpose chopper. I do really enjoy this brand. Their stuff is really good quality. I do have a tea kettle from them, like an automatic water boiling kettle, and this thing is awesome, so I do trust the brand. So the plan is to open this bad boy up, give it a nice wash, and start chopping those onions and bagging them up so that I can freeze them. In case you're in the market for something like this, I just wanted to show you what this chopper is able to do. Here are some of the options that you have with the chopper. So you can do dicing and stuff like that. You can slice, you can julienne, you can do a whole bunch of things, grating stuff. It does grate cheese from what I've read. I've opened it up. There's a bunch of like blades and stuff like that. There's all kinds of stuff in here. I'm gonna unwrap these, start washing it up, and go from there. Okay, I still haven't washed anything because as I was unwrapping this, I wanted to show you. This is really cool. All of the little blades come in this own little container, so you can just take them out as needed. That it has its own little storage bin. Okay, this is hard to do with one hand. Okay, there we go. Same thing for the bigger blades. They all come in their own little container and you can store them. I've already pulled one out. This is the one that I'm gonna use today. Let me finally go ahead and wash these. All right, assembly is super easy. I just assembled it to get an idea of how to do it and disassembled it so that I can show you. You take whichever grate you're gonna use, and it pops in here really easily. This has 2 little teeth, if you will, and there's the teeth right here. So you just slide it in. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Now, as for putting this on the bottom portion, I found it very tricky to get it on this way. Flip it upside down because there's a little ledge right here that you need to hook this part to. It's just easier to do it upside down. So you kind of just slide it in there and that's it. Press it and it's ready to go. Don't you hate when onions just refuse to peel? It's so annoying. So that's what we got. Nicely chopped bits. Looks pretty good. What I think I'm gonna do for the other onions, because I thought these would be a little bit smaller in size, I'm gonna use the smaller grate so that I can get slightly smaller pieces. I mean, this is a decent sized piece. See, some of them are a little bit longer. I think I'm gonna try this one and see how it turns out. So let's give that a try. All right, removing this little grate thing is super easy. Because I have nails, I need to use a knife to do it. You just lift this little part up here and that's how you pop it out. So instead of breaking a nail, I'm just gonna pop that one out and pop that one in. That's all you gotta do. All right, let's give this smaller grate a try. All right, this one, this one just doesn't wanna go through. Hold on. Jeez. All right. Well, there's that. Maybe it's just the onion. I don't know. As you can see, I'm using a lot of force here. I didn't have that problem with the first onion. Maybe it's just this particular onion, or maybe the grate makes a difference. But the point is, even if you hit this really hard, it doesn't break. It's pretty sturdy. Also, these are very large onions, and I should have chopped it smaller, but it's all right. Let's see what we got. So the dice on that is a lot smaller, and this is kind of what I'm looking for. I think I'm gonna stick with this one. You can see the size comparison between the dice. They're both good and both usable. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick to the smaller dice just because it's a little more versatile than the larger one. Yeah, I'm very happy with this. I mean, this looks great. Look at that. So far, A+ for this little device here. All these peels and all this stuff that would go in the trash, I'm putting in a bag because I'm gonna use this stuff for when I make broth. Homemade broth calls for onions anyway, so it's nice to put these little scraps in there. That way it doesn't go to waste and, you know, you get more bang for your buck. In case you're wondering what type of onions I'm chopping up today, these are the ones that I'm chopping up. I just glanced over at the bag and I saw sweet on here. It reminded me of Sweet James, like that was the first thing that popped in my head. And if any of you watch Real Housewives of OC, let me know down below what you think about the whole Noella Sweet James situation. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I know it's not garden related or anything. It just popped in my head, so I figured I'd mention it. I don't know. I have feelings about the whole situation, but let me know what you guys think. Just curious. All right, so here is what we have with the onions. I am so happy. It was easy breezy. It took me about 30 minutes, but only because I'm trying to film this. I'm so happy that this is prepped and ready to go for whenever I need it. And just as a size comparison, in case you're wondering, there's a bag of Walmart onions, and look how easy that was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure these are $1 each. Look at this. This is great. Super easy. Highly recommend that slicer dicer. If you're in the market, I'll link it down below. You saw for yourself that it really worked. I'm gonna leave one of these out so that I can use it for the broccoli cheddar soup. I also need a break. I need to cool off. I'm a little warm in here in the kitchen, so I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. All right, the next project I have is to grind up some cayenne peppers. So first of all, I have my Ninja right here ready to go. Here is my pepper harvest from this year. I grew 4 cayenne pepper plants, and what I ended up doing is I dehydrated them. I dehydrated them as I picked them. You know, I didn't wait until I had a certain amount and then put them in the dehydrator. I just dehydrated as I went, and this is the yield that we got this year. I think that's a pretty decent amount of cayenne peppers from just 4 plants. What I'm gonna do is prep this so that I can put it in the Ninja, and we're gonna grind it up and make some cayenne pepper powder. So here I have a dehydrated cayenne pepper, and what I'm doing is popping the top off like that, so that when I put this in the Ninja, it's gonna grind up just the pepper and the seeds. I don't have to worry about the stems getting into my cayenne pepper, because I made that mistake last time when I did chili flakes in 2020. Every time I try to scoop out the chili pepper flakes, I have to avoid the little stems, and I've just been too lazy to dig them out. So this just makes life a lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, I barely put a dent in this. I'd say, well, actually, that's not true. I did about 1/3 of it and put everything in here. So what I'm gonna do is put the lid on and start this up. Looks pretty good. I'm probably gonna, oof. I just inhaled that. Okay, if you do this, please be sure to let the dust settle before you take the lid off, because you will inhale it and choke. So I'm gonna put some more peppers in there and grind it up a little bit more, because I want it to be slightly smaller. I want it more of a powder than big chunks. So let's keep it moving. Just as a side note, you very well could just cut the tops off before you put them in the dehydrator. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. I just chose to do it this way this time because it was easy. I just threw the peppers in the dehydrator and called it a day. Also, you may want to use gloves when you're doing this. I've been doing this for the last 10-15 minutes, so it is what it is. I'll just have to remember not to touch anything. But I'm trying to be careful about popping the top off without really touching anything, but you know, wear gloves. All right, so you guys saw that container of peppers that I had, and here is the yield of cayenne pepper flakes. So that's really exciting. I don't have to worry about cayenne pepper for at least another season or two. We don't really go through cayenne pepper that quickly, so this should last a while. And this was out of only 4 plants, so imagine if you grew 10. You'd have cayenne pepper until the end of time. So next thing on the agenda is doing something with this cauliflower, because as you can see, it's getting kind of yucky and I don't want to toss it out. So what I'm gonna do right now is make a quick brine so that I can chop this up and pickle it. There's a special place in my heart for pickled cabbage. Usually whenever we buy a jar of pickled vegetables, or even if I make it at home, I always end up picking out the cauliflower first. I don't know what it is about it. It's just so delicious to me, and that's what we're gonna do. I busted out a jar of pickled vegetables that I made at home. The okra in there, the green stuff is okra that I grew in the garden this last season. There's some cabbage in here, some carrots, my beloved cauliflower. So this has been in this jar for a very long time. I'd say maybe 4 months now at this point, and it's holding up pretty well. So basically I'm going to replicate this, but just with that guy. All right, so I have 3 cups of water in this pot that I'm starting to boil, and what I'm going to do is add 3 cups of distilled vinegar. Basically you want to do a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm sure there are fancier ways of doing this, but this is just a quick pickle brine that I've tried before and it worked. I just showed you guys the jar of the other vegetables. That's exactly what I used there. So I'm going to pour out 3 cups of distilled white vinegar and make a mess while I do it, because I'm doing it one-handed while staring into the screen to make sure that it's in focus. But hey, we're doing the best we can, right? I should probably make life easy on myself and make a bigger hole than that in the top, but whatever. So here goes 1, 2, and 3. This is probably way more brine than I actually need, but you know what? Whatever. I'd rather have too much brine than not enough. I'm gonna put some salt in here and some red pepper flakes, and that's about it. It's nothing fancy, nothing special. All I gotta do is wait for this to boil. I put red pepper flakes, probably half a teaspoon, salt in there, which you can see at the bottom. I'm gonna stir it up. It's already starting to boil a little bit, and in the meantime, I'm gonna chop up the cauliflower. Let's start off by getting all the yucky bits off of this and getting these leaves out of the way and chopping this bad boy up. So I've sufficiently made a mess and broken up all of this cauliflower into small pieces, and my brine is boiling. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to wash these up and put them in jars. So we got 3 jars out of it. Not too shabby. I'm just waiting for the brine to cool a little bit, and then I'm going to pour the brine into the jars and can this up, and we should be good to go. All right, y'all, new day, who dis? It's like a couple days later. I never got around to making the broccoli cheddar soup, so I'm gonna do that now. I managed to do a lot the other day, but now it's time to tackle this broccoli cheddar soup because I do not want the broccoli to go bad. It's a lot of broccoli. Obviously, I spent my money on it. I'm trying to get use out of it, and I want to freeze as much broccoli cheddar soup as I possibly can because it's nice to have homemade quick meals ready to go whenever you need them. Just a recap of what I have here. I have the broccoli florets, some half and half, which I did some calculations on the recipe. This is not going to be enough half and half, so I'm going to end up using, I guess, milk or something. I'm not sure. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Store-bought chicken stock because I don't have any homemade on hand. We got the cheddar cheese. We have some butter, and that's more or less the ingredients minus the seasoning, which salt, pepper, paprika, if you want to put nutmeg, whatever spices you want to put. I may make it a little spicy. I might add some red pepper flakes. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to taste it and see how it goes. Right now, I need to shred up the cheddar because it's not going to shred itself. We're going to take care of this ASAP. Now we're cooking down the onions just until they're a little bit translucent. Once that's done, I'm going to add some garlic and let that cook for a little bit, and then we'll go from there. All right, I added the flour, and as you can see, the onion garlic mixture has thickened up a lot. So I'm just letting this fry for like a couple minutes. I turned the heat down. Once this is all cooked up, so maybe like another 2 minutes or so. Cats are meowing, so if you hear that in the background, that's what that is. I'm going to go ahead and add the stock and then the broccoli and the seasoning so we can start boiling that broccoli and cooking it down a little bit. Added all the stock, so I'm going to give this a quick stir. The broccoli has been added. I'm giving this another quick stir and turning up the temperature so this can boil. By the way, this recipe does call for carrots, but I'm leaving them out because I don't have any carrots shredded up and ready to go, so I'm just going to leave it out. This has been boiling for a while. I just stirred it up and lowered the heat. And what I think I'm going to do is hit it with the immersion blender now because I don't want to run the risk of adding the half and half and having too much liquid and not being able to reach the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this up right now. Okay, my immersion blender sucks. So that's something that I need to start thinking about buying a new one. If you guys have any suggestions for a really good immersion blender, please let me know down below. The one that I've been looking at is from Braun, I believe. No, excuse me, Breville. Breville has one that I've been looking at. It has like all kinds of attachments, and what kind of turned me onto it the most is the fact that it has like a docking station, if you will. So like all of the attachments and everything, including the immersion blender itself, kind of all sit in one little compartment. So that's the one I've been looking at. If you have any experience with that one, let me know down below how it worked for you, or if you have any other suggestions in general for a good immersion blender. So what I'm going to do now is add the half and half. Maybe I should open it first because it's not open. All right, take two. Because I forgot to open it the first time. And let's try not to make a huge mess. As per usual. Let me stir this up, give it a taste, and I might need to add a little bit more. And now for the fun part, the cheese. Give that a quick stir. And now we wait. All we got to do is wait for that cheese to melt. Give it a little taste. I'm assuming because I put the half and half and a little bit of extra milk in here, plus the cheese, it's going to need more seasoning. So I'm probably going to put more pepper, salt, a little bit of chili pepper flakes that I grew myself, as well as a little bit more paprika. I didn't put nutmeg in this because I don't have any, if I'm being frank. So I'm skipping that part of it, but I did give it a taste test throughout and it tastes really, really delicious. So I'm very happy about that. All right, ladies and gents, there you have it. Our broccoli cheddar soup is complete. There are big chunks of broccoli in here because, like I said, my immersion blender sucks. So what I'm gonna do now is let this cook for another couple minutes or so, and then I'm gonna turn the heat off and let this cool down so that I can put it into containers, the plastic containers that I showed you at the beginning of the video, and stick them in the freezer. That's really the only thing that I have left to do. And this kitchen mission is complete. Guys, editing me here. I got so wrapped up in completing all of the tasks that I had to do that I forgot to record an outro. So here I am. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed this kitchen day with me. It was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. Well worth it. As far as the broccoli cheddar soup recipe is concerned, I'm going to leave the recipe down below so you can check that out. But just keep in mind, I did end up multiplying that recipe, making it my own a little bit, but the basic recipe that I'm linking down below is a really good one. So if you're looking for a good broccoli cheddar soup recipe, definitely check that one out. It's in the description box along with some other important information that I may have forgotten to mention during the video. So again, thank you so much and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!